No matter where you go, no matter what you do, take that Maui style with you. Cause if you ain't Maui styling, you just living on an island. Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 There is sunshine in your heart. It's been with you from the start. Lift your head, look to the heavens, then you will feel brand new again. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Reach out your hand and help each other. Your mother, your father, your sister and brother. There is love in this family. Pick yourself up and get on your feet. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Makena styling, up country styling, Campo styling, Kahana Valley styling, Hana styling, Waihu styling, Bahia styling, Keanai styling. Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Maui styling, Maui styling, don't stop me now. Maui styling.
This is Jason Schwartz, but today we're not Mama Presents. The Maui Arts and Music Association is part. We're doing up close and personal political 2008 interviews, and today we have candidate for West Maui County Council, Chayne Marten. Chayne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here.
Well, you know, when we have candidates from a different area, I think the first thing we should do is lay the groundwork for you. No matter if you live on Maui, Molokai, Lanai, all of Maui County votes for all the candidates.
Yes.
So when you get out to the election booth, you get a chance to vote for Chayne if you want to vote for Chayne. So realize this show is for you, no matter where you live here in Maui County.
Yeah.
And if you don't live in Maui County and you're somewhere around the world looking at it on the internet, you're going to hear some good things here. And when you come to Maui, look Chayne up. In the meantime, back to our show.
Yes.
What made you decide to run for county council here in Maui?
The main reason why I decided to run is because I have 7-year-old triplets.
Yeah.
And I want to teach them that in life, you have to give more than you take, listen more than you speak, and be of service. It's really about legacy and leaving behind something that's very valuable. And that's our time, investing our time in people. These people are important.
Well, and our county really needs people to be investing their time and coming forth in service. What do you do, or what have you been doing besides in this council race? I know people may or may not know you. What do you do?
I'm a writer and also a real estate agent. My background is in fitness. I used to be a conditioning coach and I trained professional athletes. And what I've learned from that is, even though I worked with people with big egos, when it came down to game day, they realized that they had to set their ego aside and play together as a team. So I like to think of myself as a team builder, and I believe that's what we need with our economic instability at this time. We need to partner with business groups and citizens groups, so as together as a team we could affect real change. And I believe that's what the people want. They don't want to hear candidates making promises, and once elected, it seems like they only are concerned about being re-elected more than delivering on their promises. And that's one reason why I decided not to take any money from anyone, because I don't want to feel that I owe anybody any favor. And the truth is, even when it comes to endorsements, I believe when unions endorse you, or newspapers, almost anybody who will endorse you will somewhere along the line expect the return of a favor. And I think what's important is to represent our constituents and not any private interest. And that's why I decided not to accept money from anyone in this race.
Now, I have a different philosophy. I'm glad that he doesn't accept money. I do accept money, but not for, I'm fooling. When I'm looking at money, I remember when I used to take, we have the Maui Arts and Music Association, and someone would say, well, don't take money from Sony, they're polluting the environment. And I thought, well, if I get money from Sony and I'm talking and sharing about how to not pollute the environment, aren't I doing something special? But in politics, everyone is an individual, and I think that it's true. We call them special interests, however, it could be a special interest of an individual or a company contributing. We hope that this television interview, along with other media things, give an opportunity to all the people to be able to get up close and personal to see who candidates are. We see road signs and all kinds of things. It costs a lot of money. A lot of money is spent on grinds, getting some food so you'll come out and say, hey, I had a good party. Yeah, he's a good old guy. He may be a good old guy, but does he represent the way you feel? Or do you come out to these meetings whether or not you get elected? You know, that's my challenge to you guys, and me, and all of us. So what are your issues? Did you get in with an issue that you were specifically passionate about?
Yes, absolutely. I have 7-year-old triplets, 2 girls and a boy. After 21 years of marriage and no children, my wife and I were blessed with children. It wasn't long ago, I believe it was on June 29th, one of my daughters was attacked at Kapalua Beach by a pit bull. The dog came running up and grabbed her by her leg and started to shake her. You could probably imagine as a parent how upsetting that was to me. Fortunately for us, the damage physically wasn't that great, but it left me with a lasting impression. And that night, as I kept thinking about what had happened, that vision kept playing in my head, I started to think, what would happen if that dog had bit my daughter's throat and not her leg, knowing that the closest hospital was over an hour away. And after speaking to ambulance drivers, they tell me that's just a part of the problem. A bigger part of the problem is that once we get to Maui Memorial, there's another wait, and sometimes it's hours. And the truth is, Maui Memorial, it's not a bad hospital. I'm not saying it's a bad hospital, but I'm just saying that their technology is almost like going back to the 1970s. So when they have to transport a patient from Maui Memorial to Oahu to get the type of care that they need, that's still more time. And I think we've all talked about that golden hour, that first hour, and how important it is to get the care that you need. And we have a lot of elderly people, seniors living on West Maui. We have a lot of children, and it's just too bad that money has to be more important than human life. And although a lot of people will sit back and accept the status quo, I think it's unacceptable. If it was your child or your loved one that was attacked, would you feel like there's a sense of urgency? I think so. There are things that are important and there are things that are urgent. When I decided to run, I decided that I will not accept that the state of Hawaii will not allow West Maui to have a hospital. And I think one of the problems is the state of Hawaii wants to represent their state-run hospitals. And so Maui Memorial gets a $10 million grant every year providing They're the only hospital on this island. So Maui Memorial doesn't want to see West Maui have a hospital. And what's really of concern to me is that even after submitting a certificate of need to the state, they just sit on it and do nothing. Well, my feeling is if the state's not going to work with us, then we need to talk to our attorneys. We need to get the power of the people behind us, because that's not acceptable. And whether I'm elected or not, I'm going to continue fighting for our hospital until we have one. We have a right, and I don't know anywhere else in the United States that they would deny a population of over 20,000 people. And then how many tourists are there on the average day? And do you know that most tourists are unaware of the hospital situation? I just wonder how many of these people would come and visit us if they knew what the situation was regarding our hospitals. We can have a private hospital that would work, an acute access hospital that's willing to pay 100% of all Medicare and Medicaid patients. We could have our doctors invest in this hospital so they get a piece of the action as the hospital grows.
Well, let me break in for a second.
Sure.
I'm glad that you put that position out. As you were doing it and going on, I was thinking, it sounds like that's a state issue, and I know you're
Yes.
running for county council.
Yes, exactly.
There's a young lady who's running for state senate who's on the west side, you probably know,
Yes,
who's a proponent of a hospital also.
yes.
Have you had any conversation with her about this?
Are you talking about Roz Baker?
No, I'm talking about Jan Shields, who was talking about
Jan
Maui
Shields. Yes.
Hospital.
Well, I would like to say that, in my opinion, Jan Shields is the best candidate in that race. She has a nursing background, she has children, she's compassionate, and she will fight for us.
Well, so she's running in that race against Roz.
Yes,
okay?
that's correct.
That's like I'm thinking, that's a sort of a state-focused issue,
Yes,
which I'm glad you're passionate about, and I know, as public servant, I've seen some of the people that were on state offices who help with local things sometimes, because people don't really know where to go and who to access to be able to help move their thing along. But have you considered how you would impact, for example, local legislation to be able to make it possible? I'm trying to think of, in the council seat when you're coming in, so that's an important issue. That's a state kind of a job, and I'm glad you recognize that other race. What about here in Maui? Any thoughts? Are there any land that you've spotted or want to do trades with county land? Or have you looked at any of that stuff or not?
well, there is some land in West Maui, and we're very fortunate that the owner of that land has donated it for a hospital.
Really?
And so we
Great.
have the land already pretty much secured.
Where in town is that?
I believe it's up by the airport, West Maui Airport.
Okay.
And if I'm not right, then it would be just behind the police station.
But there's
Lahaina
already
town.
land that's been
Yes,
secured
there
by
is.
donation.
Yes.
Okay. And that's why when I talked about a Jan Shields or Roz Baker, you're talking.
Yes. And
They're
even
more-
Bart Moldaville, I don't want to leave him out. He's also passionate about helping us, and he's another candidate that should be looked at seriously.
Okay. Well, see, I'm sort of the kind of guy that looks past the election thinking,
Yes,
some of us will be in seats, some of us won't,
that's
but
correct.
that doesn't stop the issues, nor does it
Yes.
stop us all being part of the solution.
Yes.
Because whether you're the vote or whether you're influencing it through your action, and isn't that why and how votes are cast? It should be through the actions that you take and the confidence that what you believe in are going to be taken by these representatives.
Yes.
Doesn't hurt to be doing these things while you're waiting for the representatives or waiting to be one.
And I'm looking forward to working with our state representatives, and I want to find out who is really passionate about helping us and where are the roadblocks and who are the people that are standing in the way of us having our hospital. I would like the public to know who these individuals are.
Well, I'm thinking that probably a lot of that is public knowledge in some of these public testimonies and stuff. You see a lot of people come out besides. I'm wondering if it's, like you say, it's a financial issue. the grants and supports that come to state-run hospital like Maui Memorial. Definitely part of it. And because there's a desire for a Kihei hospital and a West Maui hospital, and knowing how many people can be served by a hospital and what becomes financially profitable. I'm not in the middle of that, and obviously I think there's high desire and definitely would be a high enough demand and a reason to have it.
Yes.
The money's got to come from somewhere. So if there are people willing to invest, I would hope, just like you would, that we'd have enough of, an outpouring of public sentiment and money to build it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm with you.
Great, great. I would like to mention one thing really quickly. I'm surprised how many people I speak to are not aware that our elections are county-wide, and they include 3 islands, and you're allowed to choose 9 candidates, 1 from each district. I've had people say, well, I can't vote for you because I live in this part of the island. Well, that's not true. You can vote. And when I first decided to run, I was told that I would represent West Maui. But that's not really the truth. The truth is, each candidate represents the entire county of 3 islands. And I like that. I guess as a candidate, it's always easier to campaign in your own district. However, if you look at the big picture, the bottom line is all of our county has needs. Upcountry has needs, Kihei has needs, West Maui has needs. And I like the idea that we don't represent just a part of our island, because to me it pits, East Maui against West Maui, Central Maui against Hana, or it shouldn't be that way. We should all be in this together and have a priority list, and then work off of that priority list.
Which is what we do, what we try to do, right? But it's also true, for example, different issues. People talk about housing and
Yes.
things that the decisions to be made about, for example, vacation rental. And another candidate on here talking about the people in Haiku that want to decide what's happening in their community should have the right to say vacation rentals are okay in our neighborhood if we do this and this. That the county blanket, you can't.
Right.
That's really a more local issue.
Yes.
It needs to be self-determined by an area, where they don't want testimony from people from West Maui who come to East Maui and say no vacation rental. It's different. That's a local thing.
Yes, I guess what I meant by about my preference to represent all the people is that if I were, for example, just representing West Maui, I might make the argument that West Maui contributes about 47% of the entire tax base of all 3 islands.
Isn't that amazing?
So shouldn't we have our piece of the pie? And then what about communities that don't contribute much? So we say that you're not viable, you're not important because your contribution is too small? No. I think that we all have to be treated equally. And that's why I believe that each council member should represent the entire county and not show preference to their own communities, but show preference to what's the most urgent and what needs to be taken care of first. And you touched on something I just want to mention really quick.
Sure.
And that is affordable housing. I'd like to have a definition on what is affordable, because right now most of what they say is affordable is in the $400,000 or $500,000 range, and that is really out of reach for most of our working families. And I believe a way that we could help our local people is to have the county either lease or buy property and then have private development build that infrastructure, or have the county build that infrastructure all the way up to that site. And then the developers go in and build housing with the idea that we're looking at cost and not profit margin, so that we could pass on that savings to the local people. And one quick statement I'd like to make is looking at the Maui Island plan. They talk about having a very dense community and building cubicle type dwellings for local people. And they actually said that they wanted to make these dwellings so that they're not attractive to mainland buyers. But what I don't understand is, if they're not attractive to mainland buyers, why on earth do they think that people in Maui would want something like that? Well, the developers say we need something to pacify them. No, the people want something they can sink their teeth into. They want a house with a yard for for their children and area to grow their own gardens. And that's what's important, is that we all share in this prosperity, that we all have a piece of the pie, and not
There
have
are ways
gated
to accomplish it.
communities.
I just know that that issue is so big because of
Yes.
the cost of land. And,
Yes,
you know, just we're watching right now how the federal government starting and getting in and bailing out this one and bailing out that one, bailing out, supplementing, and becoming something we all pay for. How do you pay for it? We're going to find out, aren't we? But one thing that we could do locally here is raising of property taxes, which people don't want, yet we still need the services and we want the land to be able to create affordable housing. So you're going to find, especially when you're sitting in that seat,
yes.
it's all based on finances. And
Yes.
that is where, you know, when we're talking about financial literacy, we're going to talk about that in a separate show.
Great.
But the ability to understand what it means to balance. You know, this island is probably going to tip over from all the upper end houses that are being built and nothing that's affordable for the people that are going to serve those people and themselves. You know, there's a great imbalance.
Yes.
And that imbalance is something that can only come through people coming out and speaking. That's why we're happy to have people like Chayne who are running, who have passion and have passion for the people. See, that's the stuff that to me is the fabric of what's going to keep Maui, what's going to make it possible for all of us who are living here, who may not have as many resources, to be able to live a comfortable lifestyle. We are in paradise, right?
Yes.
A lot of people come here and they think, or live here, and they think that you have to sacrifice to be in paradise. And I say you have to understand and have financial literacy.
Yes.
To understand what we can do both with government and in private sector to be able to create what we want. There
Yes.
actually are ways to do this, but it takes, you have to, what do they say? A rising ship.
Yes.
A rising tide raises all ships. If we have greater knowledge, we'll have greater knowledge of what to do to help everyone.
Yes.
So that's my goal. See, my goal has nothing to do with an election, although it has everything to do with an election. It has to do with the same thing that you want, the same qualities of life that I think we all want.
Yes.
So that's the most important. No matter who you vote for, check out your heart and see if you're ready to
Yes.
get involved. Not only in voting, but coming out to meetings. You see Chayne on the street, whether or not he's sitting in that council seat.
If
speak
it's
to him.
important to you, it's important to me. And on the lines of affordable housing, we also need affordable rentals. And I think the county can also step in and lease land so that we could have homes built on that land and be able to
All that is a
offer it
financial
for-
balance that has to
Yes.
happen.
Yes,
Again,
absolutely.
rather than discuss it in detail here,
Yes.
these are the kind of things when you guys should come out to, well, you'll see it on Akaku, but coming out to the meetings. Ideas like this that are married up with physical plans are what we're all talking about. So these are the kind of ideas, whether someone's on council or not, that we really are needing in this county. We need people's involvement. A lot of you
Yes.
young people who are now awake because we have a McCain-Palin ticket and
Yes.
Obama and Biden,
Mhm.
stay awake and stay involved and
Yes.
become more involved, not only through this election season, but between election seasons.
Absolutely.
Your whole life is not just elections when it comes to politics. Politics should be an everyday, breathing activity.
Yes.
Anyway, now you're hearing how prejudiced I am.
I wanted to thank you. You know, you're the first opportunity that I've had to be able to speak to the people
Really?
without having to answer specific questions. So far, Akaku has given us 3 minutes to speak, but at most of the forums, we usually get about 40 seconds to 30 seconds to speak. And it's really hard to get to know a person with only 30 seconds or
That's
answering
there's
a
so many
specific question.
candidates and then no one gets the time.
Yes.
But you know, this is my way of contributing to my own world.
Yes, thank you so
You know,
much.
well,
I
you're
really
very welcome.
appreciate that. Thank God
And-
there's people like you.
Well, thank you. You know, I say that to everyone. You know, it's truly a matter. We could create more shows like this. Many more of you could come forward and become part of a media opportunity to be able to share who these people are. Wouldn't you have liked to have known who Chayne Marten was before it's 3 days before this show may be on, and Chayne may just be another citizen who didn't make the cut
Yes.
for the first primary. But it's only because no one knows who these people are.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that all of us will come forward in many ways to do what you see I'm doing. I love doing this. I was hoping more people would come forward like me and duplicate me. So far, what do they say? I'm
Well,
not
that
easy to
makes you
duplicate.
unique. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just would like to say one thing that's very important. I believe that when a candidate decides to run for office, they need to be accountable for their actions. And in my particular race, there is one candidate who has not been showing up for the forums, who's been not answering the questionnaires, who's pretty much put their thumb down to Akaku and the news media. And I don't think that's right, because if you're not going to put yourself in the position to be accountable to the people, to answer their questions, to let them know who you are and why you're running, that is wrong.
We
And-
have a few of those
Yes.
every race. We have incumbents who don't do it. We
Yes.
have people that are new that don't do it. You know, we live on an island where some people think that if their name is Japanese, they're going to have a Japanese vote. If their name is Filipino, they don't need to go out and be a mix, or they figure they've got enough votes in their own pockets of
Yes.
whoever and whatever their group is. And they also aren't choosing to really represent everyone. That's what you're talking
Yes,
about.
I think that a person who
I
runs for
understand.
office shouldn't show any particular group favor, should treat everybody equal, include everybody. And you know, I've campaigned door to door, and some people have opened up their arms to me and embraced me and thanked me for running. And then there's other people who have asked me questions only to interrupt me and use four-letter words and ask me to leave their property because I was howling. And I just want you to know that whether they embrace me or ask me to leave, I would represent them equally, because I believe everybody's important. And I want to see the people who don't normally get involved in this process, and so many, I think maybe around 61% of our people don't vote. And what I'm asking you to do, stop hibernating, wake up, get involved, have a say in our government before it's too late. I met with GPAC leaders, community leaders from all over the island.
You guys know what GPAC means? What's GPAC?
Yes. GPAC is a group of community leaders that have sat down and decided what our future is going to look like. And part of what they determined our future would look like is having 6 lanes coming into Lahaina town, thousands of more units, more gated
GPAC,
communities.
general plan.
And
The plan for the
Yes.
island. The plans that they're making.
yes,
These plans keep changing,
yes,
and over time they're going to change more.
right.
There are things happening that you may or may not like. You can hear in Chayne, there's some things that he's not comfortable with, that he'd like to change.
Yes,
Got to get out there. Got to get up and out there. I am so thankful that there are people like you who are taking valuable time from their life and their family. Triplets, I mean, that's triple the activity. That's a good thing. And I'm sure having a partner for 22 years,
yes,
you know, those are really grounded family values. And the quality of life here on Maui is only as good as the quality of that family unit.
yes.
And that Ohana concept, which now we bring into, hopefully into politics and into everything we do. That's why they say, you know, we hope to be an example to the world by living these words that are so rich in the Hawaiian culture and in our host culture and the other cultures that are here. We have great cultures. In fact, we're in Kapaniwai Park at Kapaniwai Gardens here in Iao. It's such a nice thing to have representation of all the different people all out here and all part of this fabric of Maui. What about things like, I just want to ask a few different kind of questions.
Sure.
No matter who gets into council, do you see any chance that we're going to see, what's the word? We're going to see a quiet economic time. Tourism is off in a huge way.
Right. You know, to me, I like to think of tourism as icing on the cake, but really this is a wake-up call, and it's telling us on this island that we need to be more sustainable. We need to create more jobs and not always be dependent on Maui Land and Pine or any of the other big outfits out there. We can't always rely on tourism because it fluctuates, and as you can see, we're going through tough economic times. So I would hope that more people would take advantage of learning on the internet, learning more home-based businesses, so you could operate a business out of your home over the internet.
Or not. I mean, there are lots of things you can do.
Yes,
we can show you how to buy real estate in any kind of condition.
Yes.
We can show you how to understand what's going on in the stock market through this period of stocks doing what they're doing. I've had stocks that have made 1,300%. You know, knowing what you're doing and how to, if you see the landmines and avoid them, wouldn't it be nice if we could bring up the literacy of the people here and understand the balances that go with self-sustainability?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
all that we're talking about. The fact is, internet is one thing. With no technology, some of you out there are resistant even to the internet and don't even really know
Yes.
more than it exists. The quality of our life here depends upon your involvement to be able to make it possible for us to live here self-sustainably. These kind of issues take more time and discussion, so I'm just sort of cutting it off a little because I'm concerned that you as viewers, if I were going to be these guys, what would be the most important issue about economy? That we're going to have less tourism. Yeah, we have to build other things.
Yes.
But what are we going to do in the meantime? One thing we're going to do is wonder how our phone rang here in EO. It's a miracle. See, miracles still happen here in Maui.
I would like to touch, if it's okay, on development.
Please.
If you heard what GPAC has decided in terms
General
of
plan.
yes, you would be really surprised. And I've knocked on enough doors to know that their vision, GPAC's vision, and the people's vision are totally at odds with one another. And when it comes to development, I'm not against development, but I believe we need to fix what needs fixing first. There's a lot of people who had stood in line for a long time to get their streets repaired, to get crosswalks in, to have speed bumps up, to have shade in their parks. There are so many issues. But what's really important is that we work together as a team. And not, you could have the greatest ideas in the world, but if you can't get the other council members to stand up for you, to share that vision, then you're not going to get anywhere. I believe that a candidate needs to be flexible and needs to be able to work with a team if we're going to affect change. And I believe we can be successful, but only if the grassroots level, only if you stand up, because there are power in numbers.
Well, aren't we happy to have Chayne Marten running for County Council, West Maui seat? All of you on all three islands can vote for Chayne. Remember, his last name is Marten, and it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Green, a Blue, an Independent, whatever you are, or no matter where you are in Maui County, you can vote for Chayne.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us here. I'm glad that you're running.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to know you, and I know our friendships will grow through the years. When you see them, grab them nicely.
May God bless you, and may God bless Maui. Thank you very much.
Aloha. Thank you.
No matter where you go, no matter what you do, take that Maui style with you. Cause if you ain't Maui styling, you just living on an island. Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 There is sunshine in sister and brother.